Great. Great.
Okay, I always begin these by asking, how many of my typing sessions have you seen before?
About 30.
A lot of them, huh? Okay, cool.
A lot of them. It's not like I'm like straight like watching it. I just usually play it in the background and listen to it,
Hmm.
and preferably do something. But yeah, quite a lot of them, to be honest.
All right, cool. I'm closing a few other apps because it appears that my computer is telling me you've got too much stuff open.
By the way, it's such a weird experience right now. I would say it's like watching like you have a TV show, right? And you watch the TV show, and suddenly you're on the TV show.
Yeah,
That's right. Yeah. But I'm looking forward to it.
I've obviously I've never experienced it from the other end, and it always I'm never thinking about it when I come in, and sometimes people remind me that, oh yeah, this is unusual for them.
Oh, definitely.
Okay, cool. So, can you do the basic SI test about your day? Since it's 6 p.m. there, you start from this morning and work your way up to now.
All right. So I woke up at 8 a.m. But I was laying in my bed until 9 a.m. Then I get up. I get up and did myself a breakfast. I cooked 5 eggs, scrambled eggs. After that, I went
Cooked
to my
five
tea.
scrambled eggs.
Yeah, those are like the medium ones. I'm trying to bulk up to be a little bit stronger.
Okay. I was gonna ask. Do you remember what you thought about in the hour in which you were kind of lazying around in bed still?
What did you say? If I
So you were gonna get up at 8, but then you decided to stay in bed until about 9, right?
Yeah.
So what I'm asking is, do you remember what you were thinking about, dreaming about, and/or the experience during that hour when you're still kind of rolling around in bed?
I know that because I usually like have like I would say like 6 alarm clocks because I'm terrible at waking up. So like those alarm clocks like all went off like during the hour. So usually I just cancel the alarm clock and then go back to sleep. So I wasn't like thinking about anything because I was like a little bit like conscious, a little bit sleeping. But I knew that I need to get up because I need to write my thesis. Today is my due, is the deadline for me. So I knew that I had to get up, but like I kind of knew that it's not that urgent. So I usually like went to sleep again, and I woke up at 9. Oh,
So
get
did you play? I have a secret backup plan of getting some sort of extension and pretend you didn't really have that plan, and then finally decide to implement it, something like that.
Wait, I didn't get it. Wait, what do you mean?
Like, did in the back of your mind you say to yourself, "Look, it's due today, but I have a
Yeah.
way I know I'm going to be able to get a couple extra days." And then you were kept telling yourself, "I'm not going to use that though. I'm going to respect the deadline." But when it actually came, then you did use it.
Yeah, because like I'm supposed to hand in like my first 10 pages of the thesis, and I have like right now I have 6, but at the start of the day I had 3, and I kind of knew, okay, I can manage it. I know what I'm supposed to write about. I know all the books I will get the information from, and also that the teacher is a little bit benevolent. So if I hand out less pages, she would be okay with that.
You could say, "Well, you know what? I ended up putting a little bit more time into my research, so I was only actually able to write the 6 pages here. But I'm really glad I took the approach because I'm so really well versed now." She'll go, "Oh, okay."
Yeah, well, yeah. So then I woke up or got up and actually do something. I
The
the eggs.
eggs.
After that, I was running the thesis.
Did you? What's your thesis about?
Influencer marketing. I'm going to pinpoint like detrimental factors of effectivity of the influencer marketing of the certain influencers
Hmm,
on social.
that's interesting.
Yeah, kind of.
Um, what do you think about Jake Paul?
When I think about Jake Paul,
Yeah.
Assuming that I know him, even though I'm from Czech Republic. Okay. I don't really like Jake Paul, but there's like one thing you have to like give him props for, which is his work ethic. He seems like he's working all the time, and his ambition and drive, like what he's doing right in boxing, it's crazy. Like that he knocked out Tyron Woodley. I mean, like yeah, Tyron Woodley, sir,
Yeah.
I know
The thing,
many sports.
okay, so the thing I'd have to give him credit for more than anything else is, wow, he's a good boxer.
Well, I don't know if he's a good boxer or isn't because I don't watch box, but he put in the work, and I would even say like he's at least decent, probably.
He's good. The thing is, I do watch boxing, and I remember when I first saw him fight, and I saw him and his brother back to back. I watched it on YouTube, the two fights, and I said at the time to Rachel, I'm like, Logan Paul's a more imposing figure, but Jake Paul looks like an actual boxer.
Like, yeah, it could be, it could be.
So anyway,
And necessarily, I don't really like Jake Paul. I would say he's a scumbag. Otherwise,
are you?
he's definitely using like a younger audience, young children, to give him money for
Well,
basically thing.
well, I mean, for pay-per-view boxing matches.
No. I'm not talking about boxing. I'm talking about his other activities, such as he had something like finance family or whatever it is called, and you were supposed to like monthly give him a money, and it worked. Actually, the system worked like you put in your credit card and it starts like every month it will drain your money, right? And he's using a younger audience for that.
It's like a
Unfortunately,
Patreon kind of approach. Yeah. I find it in general kind of, yeah. I'm with you on it. All right, so can you tell me a time when you learned a lesson in your life because of a particularly dramatic experience? Say maybe you got super yelled at one time, or maybe you said something and the whole room fell silent, like, and you realize, oh, I'm never gonna do that again, or something like that. You know,
an important lesson, huh?
it doesn't have to be important, but I mean, it has to be a linked very specifically to one event.
Okay. So like I think it was like 3 weeks ago. It's not like that important or that detrimental that I learned something, but we can remember this. I live in a dorm, and there's a lot of Erasmus students, which doesn't matter right now. But okay, and we were having like a little bit of get together, and then we started discussing abortion, and like every single one of them was like, yeah, let's say the typical like, liberal view, like yeah, it's women's choice what to do with their body, and I tried to propose a new idea, and I got literally like verbally slaughtered. It was like I imposed. Oh, I don't because it's political topic, and I don't want to drag politics into it. But I don't even think that my argument was that controversial. But the topic in general is quite controversial. So I got hated on. Like I was like then silent for 30 minutes. I was scared to talk. It's just
Yeah,
it was.
it is a topic that provokes a lot of emotion from people.
Yeah, definitely, it definitely does. But sometimes you have to be like emotionless. No, not necessarily emotionless, but you cannot just put your emotions into in some topics, preferably.
Yeah.
You want to be objective at least.
Um. Okay, so let's talk about some argumentation about maybe a little bit less provocative a topic, such as global warming. What do you think various parties ought to do regarding global warming?
You mean parties like political parties?
Well, I mean governments, non-governmental organizations, companies, trade organizations, various bodies and organizations that set standards, do things, attempt solutions, etc.
Wait, could you repeat the question? Like, what was the main point of the question?
The main point of the question is, what should people, meaning you can specify which kinds of people, which group, or which organization, what should people do about global warming?
Okay. So, from what I've heard, at least, there's no like consensus about what we should done in terms of, because the things that are usually done right now, it seems, or it was like discussed if it's going to have like a serious effect. So in my opinion, I think we should like put more money into technology in general. For example, I mean, for example, like Tesla and Elon Musk, right? They are creating electric cars which could potentially help the climate change. I know the factories produce CO2. I know that, but it seems to me that having electric cars is like good solution. So maybe I don't know, finance more Tesla. No, I don't know if donations are, or what do you call it in English? I don't know. Donations?
Well, I mean, you might probably call it subsidies. Subsidies.
Subsidies, that's the word. Yeah, I don't know if that's a good idea. I don't know. I don't really know about this topic, so I always try to listen and learn about it. But yeah, I would say like improve the technology to potentially like cold the planet. If it's the planet is getting warmer, I think it should be reasonable to find a solution to make it probably colder. So and have the same amount of like technology that we have right now, or because do you know what I'm trying to say? It's like don't strip us from the things we have, but create a new technology that can potentially like save what we have right now.
All right.
And
okay, so that's interesting. You think I mean, I know exactly what you're trying to say. You're trying to say measures that rob us of prosperity, which is the engine of all solvency, attempt to mitigate what can't be stopped instead of allowing us to naturally adapt when things change.
Yes, this is very difficult way to say it. I wouldn't be able to say it like that, but yeah, that's what I was trying to say.
The reason I can say it like that is because we had that as a debate topic on a couple of occasions. Yeah. So I know a bunch of how to say certain arguments about it. Anyway, regardless.
Okay. Yeah, and mainly because English is your first language, and so sometimes I struggle to look for words.
Okay, so if you were asked by your thesis advisor to link your influencer paper to other expressions of culture before the internet, what would you do?
What do you mean expressions of culture?
Well, for example, it's always been the case that some people were more influential in certain areas than others. Mm-hmm. So if there's a certain vector of analysis, a certain vector of influencing that you're analyzing, I'm saying, can you find either a comparable example in the pre-internet age or an example that contrasts against the example you're using in the internet age?
Okay, so like for example, celebrities in TV, like when they say something, they can influence their followers. Do you mean that like that?
No, I'm saying in the contemporary age with mass media, be it TV, even radio, or now internet, the idea of an influencer is very concrete in the sense that you can correctly assume that probably you've heard of Michael Jackson, for example. Mm-hmm. Even though you're from Czechoslovakia and Michael Jackson's from America.
It's Czech Republic.
It's not Czechoslovakia? Okay, my bad.
We split up in 1993.
Okay. So you only kept half the name?
Yeah, well, not many people know it from America, which is okay. It's a small country, right? So
Is there another country called Czechoslovakia?
no, we used
So
to be called Czechoslovakia from 1918,
okay, so you split into the Czech Republic and what?
and Slovakia.
And Slovakia. So why didn't? Oh, oh, I get it. Because Czechoslovakia.
Yeah, there was like two
Oh, that makes sense.
countries.
Oh, that's why you were called Czechoslovakia before,
Yeah.
because it wasn't one place. They just smushed two places' names together.
Yeah, we can
Stupid Soviets.
say.
Okay.
Okay, so the influencers. Okay,
Influencer.
so
Yeah. So I want you to say, how did influencing, like, contrast against the mechanisms of influencers like you're writing about versus mechanisms of how influence worked prior to mass media.
okay. I would say like first thing that popped in my mind is like the preachers about the religion preachers outside churches who were yelling stuff and usually having like the bell. I don't know if it's correct historically, but that that popped into my mind.
Like, hear ye.
I don't know what they were saying. Probably.
That's the
I don't know.
town crier expression. Hear ye, and then they make an announcement.
Or maybe influencers. Okay, so maybe like the people at the street were like with this cardboard signs, the world is gonna end.
So what were they
Damn.
trying to influence those people to do then?
Huh? What?
What were they trying to influence those people to do? Now it's clear what people are trying to influence other people to do. They're trying to influence them to buy things or give them money.
Mm-hmm.
But if
They influence their opinions and therefore maybe their behavior, so they can, for example, prepare for possible apocalypse or something like that. You know, create a bunker and get some resources, another resource, goods and not goods, canned food. You know what I'm trying to say. So maybe that, but it's a stupid. That's a stupid idea. Or
okay, if you were sentenced by God to 1 month of community service and your job is to go to be an activist, you've got to wear a sandwich sign, you know, one of the signs on your body that says your thing that your political statement or whatever. You can choose whatever cause you want, but you have to be an activist for a month and walk around all day, every day on the street with your activist clothes and your activist flyers and your activist whatever. Okay, what do you
Okay.
choose to be an activist about?
okay, if God chosen me to be an activist, okay,
No, he sentenced you to this as a punishment because you used the Lord's name in vain.
so what I would preach about? Oh my God, I don't know.
Ah, you just did it again. You're gonna get more time.
What?
I said you just did it again because you said, "Oh God."
Oh, that's true. Uh, I don't know. Maybe.
What are you passionate about?
What I'm passionate-
Where are your passions for justice? Where do they lie?
I would say fairness. If that makes sense.
So you're gonna go around wearing a sign that says "fairness is good." That's not really a cause per se.
Maybe. I would maybe say something in terms like treat yourself as you want to be treated.
Okay, so you're treating my activism question as World Mike. Okay. Can you tell me your relationship with task completion versus procrastination?
I am terrible. I'm a terrible procrastinator, unfortunately for me. But I always manage to do the task. So
You pull it off in the nick of time?
yeah, I feel like I'm mostly productive when I'm under pressure. Actually,
Okay.
it's like I can make amazing. I would even say like amazing outcome of the task. But it's like when I even try to like start earlier, it's like when I'm not that motivated and I am not that focused on the work. And I would rather like prefer like to think about it more and more, and then suddenly I didn't do anything. And when the deadline is nearing, you just have to pour everything you've thought about into the work, and I just manage it. So that's
Okay, let's talk about your dumb friend Bob, okay? You've got a dumb friend Bob, he's in the same class as you, and
okay.
the teacher assigns the assignment, and Bob's like, oh my god, it's not a big assignment, seems easy. It's the kind of assignment that you tell yourself, I'm going to get started on this right away, but you'll actually wait till the last day, and it'll take you about 3 hours to do. Anyway, he said, oh my god, I'm overwhelmed with this. Can you please sit down with me and have us both work side by side on this for a bit today so we can get started? Now, will you end up helping him on his thing, working on your own thing while he works on his, or rejecting that request?
I rather work alone. That's my like preference. But if the guy, the Bob, wanted me to help him, and he was my friend, I would definitely help him.
Now, you like him a lot, but he's also the dumbest person you've ever met in your life. He can't figure out anything. He's always asking you things like, how do you make these pencils get sharp again? This one, I can't write anymore.
Why would I like?
because
Okay,
he's so cheerful. He's so cheerful. That's why.
Yeah, because I actually like know people who I would say they are. I'm not saying they're dumb, but they don't get sometimes like easy associations or just don't know like basic stuff. But they are so good to be around. Like they are so cheerful, like you said. So yeah, and I would definitely help him. Yeah, if he's my friend, I would definitely help him. I would
Now, would
definitely.
you end up getting work done on your own thing though, or just on his?
Uh,
In other words, would that hijack your procrastination?
so I would be more efficient.
Yeah,
Or
what I'm
more.
saying is, if you were gonna have to go help Bob anyway, and you were gonna go to the library, he had plaintively looked at you with puppy dog eyes. I'm just so confused. And you're like, fine, I'm gonna go. Now, are you gonna utilize that to get some of your own shit done, or are you just gonna be helping him?
I'm gonna help him, and after that, I'm gonna do mine.
Okay, so in other words, you'll end up thinking, wow, I got a head start on this. I didn't procrastinate at all because I had to go help Bob.
Yeah,
Okay.
probably.
Okay. Can you tell me which year was better for you? When you were 7 years old or when you were 9 years old?
Uh, I seriously don't know. I mean, like, I would say like those younger years, they just somehow it's like one small memory. It's like I cannot distinguish like between those years. But I would say, okay. Maybe I remember. I would say when I was 7 years old, I started in school. Started to go to school, and I know that we made a friend group. We were like a group of three guys, and it was like good memory, or at least as I remember it. But like when I was 9, I think it was in the third grade. One of the guys, let's say, he started saying some like shit about me to other guys, and they started disliking me. So unfortunately, like we split up as a group, or preferably I split up like out of the group. So I had to find new friends. If I remember it correctly, that it was third grade, which I was 9, right? I think.
And were you able to successfully find new friends?
Uh, yeah, I think I did. Yeah.
Okay. Do you have any childhood friends that you're still close to that you knew when you were young?
I wouldn't say I'm close to them, but yeah, we talk. We sometimes meet, but it's like one every like 4 months, for example. Because I live in a completely another city right now, so it's difficult to meet.
Okay. I'm going to tell you about a new invention of mine, and I'd like you to help me come up with names for it, okay? My new invention is it's a flashlight that has a squirt gun attached to it. So if in the night,
Like a
a,
water gun?
yeah, like a water gun, a squirt gun,
Yeah.
yeah, a water gun attached to it. So that if in the night you are flashing your light around, looking at things, and you happen to see your flashlight lands on some fire, you can easily enough put it out with a
Mhm.
squirt gun.
Sure.
They're built in together like that. But I can't think of a name for it.
I would say it's Flash and Flash.
Flash and Splash. That's a good name.
Right. Just some basic stuff like water light, and it's not really catchy though. Holy water. uh, I will stick to Splash and Flash. It's better.
Yeah, I think so. That's probably the best one. Yeah, Squirt and Sea or something like that. Okay, can you give me other ways of saying the following sentence? That girl feels strongly about what just happened.
The girl had a huge emotional response about that event.
Okay. Other ways?
Uh, mm, that girl feel it deeply about what happened. Oh, it's not maybe that different. That woman, so I can change the girl. The woman. Hmm.
Okay, let me try a different kind of question here.
Okay.
I'm going to present you with a situation that's fairly vaguely defined. Actually, I'm going to take a different angle. Let me ask this question first. So, I'm going to tell a very short story with very few details in it, just the skeleton of it, okay?
Okay.
And I want you to fill in the details.
Okay.
So, here's the skeleton of it. There's a man and his wife are walking along a lake shore by a lake, and the man sees something up ahead and sort of jogs up ahead of his wife and says, "Well, look at that," pointing to something in the water. "Honey, come here." And she runs over. He goes, "Well, what do you know?" Now you fill in the rest of the details of the story.
So I should finish the story. Okay. Okay. So look at that. They find a boot in the river or in the lake, and when they start seeing the boot, they notice that there's a leg in the boot, and they're just baffled what is going on. So the guy, he takes his off clothes and he jumps in the lake, and he finds out that there's actually a body. The girl was like, "Oh my God, it's actually a body," and she's scared. So the guy, he manages to pull out the body out of the water, and they try to restore the person, but unfortunately he died. That's it.
I see.
Yeah.
Okay,
Good
cool.
stuff.
So now my next question is, the lake that you imagined when you're
Yeah.
telling this story, where did it come from? Is it an actual lake from your memories? Is it a sort of archetype of a lake without any specific reference points? Did it have trees around it? Tell me about your lake.
No, it was like archetypical lake. I imagine some bushes around it, and I don't remember what's the name of it. It's like one, not necessarily flower. It's like with the brownish brown
Oh yeah,
and
yeah,
like
yeah, yeah. Yeah, I know what you're talking
that
about.
in English.
I don't know what those are called either.
Okay, that's fine. So I imagine that because it's usually around lakes, right?
Yeah, they
And
are. Yeah.
I imagine like the guy was standing on the what do you call it? From where the boats
You are,
go.
yeah, 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 the pier or dock or whatever.
Pier,
Okay,
yeah,
so
pier. He was standing like a small pier.
where you live and or have lived, Do lakes
Yeah.
have those things, or do you just think of that because you see that in movies and stuff?
No, like the second thing, I would rather see it in movies and stuff.
So lakes
Under-
around you probably don't have those things,
I
or you don't know. You're not sure if lakes around you have those things.
They do, but not how I imagined it. Like the structure of how it was all set up. Not
Okay.
anything like.
All right. Cool. Cool. Can you tell me about a movie that, or a TV show or something that you started watching and were just like, oh, this is bad. I don't want to keep watching this. I gotta stop. And why?
Oh, yeah. It was the show was, I think, called Liar Game, and because Squid Game, you know the show, right? I watched it and I really liked it, and I found out on the internet there's a similar, let's say, similar TV show that you should watch if you like Squid Game. I think it was called Liar Game. I'm not really sure, but I watched the first episode, and I'm just like, oh my god! I really like the idea, but the execution, the filmmaking, it was so basic. I just didn't want to watch it anymore.
Okay.
And yeah, some anime. What was it called? Full Metal Alchemist, I think. I watched like 5 episodes and just wasn't for me. So
Yes. I'm with you on Full Metal. I haven't seen the other thing you're talking about, but I have seen Squid Games, but I'm with you on Full Metal Alchemist, and there's a couple other sort of classic ones like that that get a lot of hype that I've tried, and I'm just like, eh. Okay, so how much is the visual aesthetic important to you? You want it to look nice, or can you look past it not looking nice if it's got a good story and well acted, good characters or whatever?
I usually laugh. I like the context of the movie. I don't really focus on actually what you can see, but the whole context. Like, how can you? So I really like low budget films, but with a good idea. For example, there's a movie called Circle, and it's the idea that 50 people suddenly wakes up in a room and there's like a huge ball in front of them, and the ball starts killing random people, and then they figure out that they vote who do they kill. Whoever gets the most votes, he gets killed. So they are trying to manipulate each other to vote for them and trying to survive as long as possible. And it's a low budget movie, like, and the acting is not really good, but I really like the context, the concept, and the dynamics between the people. And yeah, so I prefer the concept rather than
Okay,
the.
so does are you cool with movies that some people might call slow if it's doing enough, I guess you might say, in the writing?
There's not. Yeah, definitely. I can like wait. Oh, no, this. Yeah, wait. I can like wait or be patient if I knew there's gonna be good outcome of that.
Do,
Definitely.
do kissing scenes make you feel uncomfortable?
It depends how it's filmed. Um,
Okay.
yeah, it makes me uncomfortable, but it's something like I wouldn't necessarily watch. If I knew like the movie is good about the kissing scenes, I wouldn't watch it for it. It sounds so stupid. If you understand.
Okay. Kissing scenes always make me feel shy. Like I'm not supposed to be watching that.
No, okay.
um.
Well,
o-
I don't have the feeling. No.
All right. Can you talk to me about how the emotion of excitement feels in your body?
That's a good question.
Those are my favorite kind of questions.
Because it's a FI question, right?
No, I mean good ones.
Oh, okay. I would say if I'm excited, I'm usually like fast moving. I want to move around. So I wouldn't say necessarily like itchy because no, that's not the right word. But I just want to like express myself and move
Antsy.
around. What?
Antsy is the word.
Okay, I don't know that word, but yeah, maybe. And Yeah, I sometimes speak a lot when I'm really excited about something.
Okay.
Oh, it's the physical sensation though, but yeah, it's maybe
Okay,
behavioral.
let me ask you some TI questions.
Okay.
Can you tell me what 2 days before 3 days after Sunday is?
2 days before 3 days after Sunday.
Yeah.
Jesus. 2 days before 3 days. Friday?
No, it's Monday.
Monday?
No, no. Yes, it's Monday. 3 days after Sunday, minus 2 days, is Monday.
Okay.
Okay, let's try another one of those days of the week ones. These are something. This is something somebody suggested, and I've tried them, and it proved to be a pretty good TI question.
Okay.
All right, so can you tell me next Wednesday's yesterday's tomorrow?
So next Tuesday.
Right. Okay. If Barry has an orange, then Mary likes bananas. And if Mary likes bananas, then Jody likes strawberries. If
Yeah.
Jody doesn't like strawberries, can we conclude necessarily that Barry doesn't like oranges?
If there's the only consequence of them liking the certain fruit, that then I fix yes.
Yeah, you're right. We can conclude that he doesn't like oranges. Okay, so let's try this kind of question. If some pigs are made out of beef, and some things that are made out of beef are cows, is it necessarily the case that some pigs are cows?
No.
Okay. If all pigs are cows and no chickens are pigs, can we conclude that no chickens are cows?
No.
All right. Can you tell me who my father's brother's daughter's brother is in relation to me?
Cousin?
How about my maternal grandmother's husband's only daughter's husband's only son in relation to me?
I got lost at the maternals because I didn't
Okay.
expect.
My
Yeah.
my maternal grandmother is my mom's mom, okay? So my maternal grandmother's husband's only daughter's husband's only son.
Could you say it more slowly?
Sure. My maternal grandmother's
Yeah.
husband's
Yeah.
only daughter's
Yeah.
husband's only son. In
Me.
relation to me. Yeah, me, right. Okay. Do you do anything as a creative outlet? Say music, writing, dancing, putting on plays, anything like that?
No,
No.
not really. I created like a small card game, but I don't think it's a creative outlet. Let's say. But that's
Okay.
like, if I can get probably.
Okay. Do you play any video games?
Yeah, I play League of Legends
Okay.
sometimes.
I've played that before, actually.
Yeah. Good.
I found it like, oh, this is hard because, like everything, I'm terrible at the moving my fingers part.
Okay. Okay.
Like,
Okay.
I
Good.
have no stick skills, as they say in video game culture.
Yeah, well, I used to play a lot of video games as I was a child, so you get the technical skills in your hands. So
Okay,
yeah.
did you ever
And now,
go through a first person shooter phase?
yeah, definitely. I used to play a lot of Counter-Strike Go, Global
Okay.
Offensive.
Do you get motion sick?
Motion sick.
Yeah, like car
It's like
sick? Car sick or seasick?
I don't actually know. I've never been. I don't think so. No, I
Okay.
don't know.
What makes you more angry at yourself? If you stub your toe or if you lose your sunglasses?
If I lose my sunglasses.
Okay, what about if you lose your sunglasses or if you accidentally insult the vice president of the Czech Republic?
Well, the second one, they could get me in trouble, right? Yeah, we met him. So.
I mean, it was an accident.
Well,
You didn't
there
know
was
he
a
was sensitive about his alcohol problem.
this one definitely. Yeah, I would be pissed at myself that I did that.
Okay, what about if you accidentally insulted the vice president or if you really hurt your mom's feelings by accident?
The vice president.
Okay. How about if you're going on a date? It could be platonic or romantic, doesn't really matter. But you got two choices. One, you were in charge of picking the movie, and the movie you picked turned out to be terrible. Or two, you encouraged her to choose to do whatever she wanted, and she picked a restaurant and movie that you thought both were terrible.
Yeah, definitely the first one. I absolutely hate that. Like every time show a video to someone, I just hope they like it at least a little bit. I just don't want to waste their time. So yeah, definitely the first time.
And
Actually,
that's exactly the kind of attitude that I shamed yesterday in my resolutions for you video.
I didn't watch that one. Sorry.
That's fine.
Okay, I will watch it definitely. Yeah. For example, like I said, there's a lot of Erasmus students in the dorm, and I promised that I would show them a Czech movie, like the famous one. And even though it's like the most popular, and I would say like one of the best movies, I'm like a little bit like afraid that they might not like it. So yeah.
What's it called?
In English, it's Cozy Dance, and it's about
It's called
communism.
what?
Cozy Dance. It's like cozy beds, but it's called Cozy Dance. Like
Oh,
the dance.
Cozy Dens. Oh, okay. Cozy Dens.
Dance,
Gotcha.
like
Yeah.
like that's right.
Okay, maybe I'll check it out.
Yeah, it's
Probably
a great
have
movie.
probably on Netflix or something, right?
Well,
I'm sure it's on Netflix or something. Anyway, oh, it's not.
it's a movie from 1999, and it's a Czech movie. You have to find yourself an English subtitles to that. So I doubt that it's on Netflix.
Well, we have a lot of streaming services. Plus, I sometimes rent shit on YouTube.
Definitely try to look for it.
Okay, so are you more likely to be accused of being illogical or unkind?
And if I'm more afraid, or if I don't,
No, if you're more likely to be accused of being illogical or unkind.
well, definitely the second one.
Okay.
Yeah.
Are you likely to be accused of doing something dumb or saying something dumb?
Seeing something dumb.
No, doing something in a dumb way or saying something dumb.
Doing something in a dumb way.
Okay. Can you describe a kind of minor problem that makes you get very frustrated very quickly? Like maybe you hate it when you're mowing the lawn and you keep pulling that thing and it won't start. Something like that. You know, something small, you know?
I would say I have a really slow laptop, so when like something starts loading for 5 seconds, I just get automatically triggered.
Okay.
Mm,
Do you just open up another tab?
I refresh it like 100 times until it. It's low.
Okay. Okay.
something. Okay. Um, I have like a feeling that I drop all the stuff all the time. Sometimes, like in the kitchen. Oh, I know. In the kitchen we have a sink, and what do you call like the area around the sink, like the
The
general
counter.
counter? Yeah, that's right. And the counter is slightly leaned like towards you. So when the water gets on the counter, it starts dripping on your foot. I absolutely hate that. Like there, because there's all I live in a dorm and we have a common kitchen, right, for 40 people, and nobody wants to clean that. So and when they wash the dishes, they leave the water there and then it starts dripping. And so it either drips on your feet on there, or there's a puddle of water in which you step. And I absolutely hate that.
So
Yeah.
when you're saying angry words to yourself about it, are you saying angry words about the people who don't clean up?
Yeah. Definitely.
Okay. You're
Not
not
loudly though.
you're
In
not
my head.
saying angry words in your head about whoever designed this thing so badly?
No, I only blame the people who let the water there.
Okay. If you were hired as a temp worker for a day to either do one of two jobs, you either answer the phone and calm down complaining customers, or you fix little broken mechanical things like doorknobs and windows that are stuck, things like that. You have to,
Definitely the call center.
definitely which one?
The call center. I actually used to work in a call center twice in two different jobs as a operator, call operator. Do you call it a call operator? I think so.
Okay, so let's pretend that I'm a customer who's complaining, and
Yeah.
you calm me down. Okay.
Okay.
So I'm very, very angry at your company right now because I tried to enter your brick and mortar store and they insisted that I put a mask on my dog. And I don't think I should have had to do that. And they insisted that I shouldn't even be allowed to bring my dog in. And I said, hey, my dog's not a service animal, but it could have been. And you didn't even ask me. So naturally,
But
I'm angry, and I expect some sort of response from your company.
yeah. Okay. So I should tell you how would I tell it, right?
Yeah, I'm the customer. You're on the phone with me.
Okay. Okay. Thank you for your for the call. We are tremendously sorry for you feeling for making you feel uncomfortable or angry. And if you is it that bad?
I mean, the funny thing is, I can't help but be me. But if somebody actually, when people say that, I don't really ever complain about anything. But when I
Mm.
do have a complaint, somebody's fucked up. Okay, so when somebody says, "I'm sorry for making that we made you feel that way,"
Yeah, that's
I would jump in and say, you don't have the possibility of making me feel anything. Your failure angers me, and that's the problem here that we need to be focusing on, not my feelings. The anger is an unfortunate but naturally an unavoidable consequence of your abject failure. So let's focus on the cause here and not the consequence. I say shit like that to people on the phone. So.
well.
I'm kind of a dick. Anyway, let me get back to typing you instead of chatting with you. If I can manage to stay on task, I will try to.
I can still, get the cognitive functions right from maybe talking, just chatting.
Yeah, but I need to let you talk, not me.
Oh, yeah.
Okay, so can you describe for me your own understanding of the cognitive function introverted intuition?
It's a difficult one. It's like seeing one immediate consequence of all the sensory data that is presented, but it's just knowing without experiencing it first. So you just like see what is, let's say, going to happen, or what the consequence will be of everything around you. Is that
Oh, yeah, okay. Can you break down the task of cleaning out a dirty bucket into exactly 5 steps?
Cleaning a dirty bucket.
Yes.
Okay. So put the cleaning bucket under the hose. Aim the hose at the bucket. Start the water, or turn around the dust underwater, and start the water. Clean, aim, like while you aiming it at the bucket, try to rub it with your hand to just make the dirt gone, and then close the water and let it dry.
Okay, that's 6 steps.
Was it? Okay, so yeah, was it? Yeah. So yeah, close the water.
What's the best number of steps to break the task of moving a couch to a different room into?
In a different room.
Yeah. You're being asked to break the task, move couch from room A to room B into some number of steps. What's a good number, you think, to break it into?
I would say 3.
3. Okay.
Yeah.
Do you have a clear sense of what those 3 steps would be?
Yeah. Lift the couch with your partner, move it to the other room, and put down the couch.
Okay. Are you concerned about where you're going to put the couch?
Well, yeah, you should think it through, though. Well, I don't necessarily think it's a step like thinking through.
Well, I got some bad news. You and your partner arrive in room B only to discover it's completely full of furniture. You've no place to put the couch. And if you leave it in the hallway, you won't be able to walk back into the other room. So you got to backtrack room A, you put the couch down, and your friend says, okay, now this time, can you please pick a better number of steps to break this task into?
Okay, so first step, make sure the place where you're moving the couch is actually cleaned
No, but
up.
I want to know what's the right number of steps, not what they are.
Oh, all right. So then 4. The first one, make sure that the place where you're moving the couch is clean.
No, you're just adding 1 step then. The proper number is 8, okay? First, you've got to locate a partner to help you lift the couch.
Okay.
Second, you've got to ascertain the readiness of room B. Third, you've got to move objects in between room A and room B out of the way of either room A or room B. Step 4, you've got to remove any of those objects that you ascertained in room B that are preventing you from putting it down in there.
Okay.
Step 5, you've got to pick up the couch with you and your partner. Step 6, you've got to carry it to room B. Step 7, you've got to set it down where you've set aside to put it. And step 8, you've got to push it back against the wall.
Okay. Can I play a devil's advocate?
Yes, but could you play it on a different question?
Yeah, sure, definitely.
Okay, so instead of moving the couch, can we do preparing the table for a dinner party for 6 people?
So you want to know how many steps, right? Again.
Yeah.
I would say 6.
Okay. What did you think about my previous claim that 8 was the right answer to that? Did you find that ridiculous? Did you realize I was joking, or did you actually think I was making that claim?
No, I found it ridiculous. That's why I wanted to play devil's advocate.
Okay. Oh, yeah. Okay. So, okay, but if you're gonna play devil's advocate, in some sense, you must have thought I was actually affirming that, right?
Yeah, for a second I thought that, and it was like, he cannot be serious. Like, what?
Okay.
It's like, because like moving something doesn't have like precise number of steps. You can create minor steps, right, to add more steps, for example.
Can you give me an example of two kinds of question. Both of them not math questions, okay?
Wait, what? Can you
I
can you
want you to
repeat
give me an example of two kinds of questions, neither of them being math questions. One kind of
that?
question, the answer is definitely true or false. The other kind of question, there's no right answer. Give me an example of each kind of question.
Okay, okay, so first one: do living creatures have heartbeat? That's a true or false statement. Oh, a question.
Okay.
It's not just a question. Should I say statement when it's a true or
No,
false?
no, yeah, you did it right. You're right. Yes or no in that instance instead of true or false. That's fine. Same thing.
And do God exist?
Okay, so is there no right answer to the second question because it's not clear which answer is correct or because it's not possible to be correct?
The first one, because yeah, the first one is.
Okay,
Yeah, maybe.
can you give me an example of a question where it's just not even possible to be correct or wrong? Or a kind of statement, an answer,
Yeah.
a question that no answer is wrong or
Okay,
right.
I get it. I get it. So let's say how to attract a girl. There's no correct answer because every girl is different. For example,
I mean,
does it make sense?
hitting her with sticks doesn't seem like a very good way.
Yeah. Well.
I guess some girls maybe that's a good way to pick them up. It is represented as the old caveman way to get girls is to hit them over the head with a club and then
Yeah.
pull them by their hair back to your cave.
Yeah. That's definitely true.
Okay.
Um,
Um. Okay, I've got a pretty good notion of what type you are, I think, and I just want to do a couple of things to double check that. Okay.
okay.
So, can you tell me what describe the kind of moment or an example of an actual moment in which you experience triumph, baby, which is yes, oh yeah, I just
Mhm.
fucking scored, or I'm so awesome right now, or whatever.
Yeah. Yeah. The Triumph Baby, is it the meme? Do you refer to the meme?
Yeah,
By the way.
that little
Okay.
baby who sits there going like this
Yeah.
with
Yeah.
his
Yeah.
fist, like that. Yeah.
I don't know. Like I would say latest like this. Yeah, I didn't necessarily do this, but I was really happy about the outcome. Was when I like went on a date with this one girl. So I was quite happy that we actually went there. Oh, I was quite happy about.
Because you have a tendency to not necessarily pull the trigger on that kind of thing, or because she was a catch.
She was a catch, definitely. Like she was super gorgeous. I thought she was way out of my league, and we actually went on a date.
I mean, objectively, you're a pretty handsome guy. I doubt she was way out of your league.
Well, it's true. No, that's actually true. I'm just no. I don't think I'm like ugly, but I sometimes have like I kind of struggle like to communicate with the other person. Like sometimes I just don't know. I just don't want to speak about basic stuff. That's why I like really. That's why I really like politics because it's a really complex topic, and I like to talk about controversial stuff, and nobody wants to do that, right? So. And this girl, she was into it as much as I was, so it was kind of great.
Well, I mean, also, it's possible you have goat legs. And I can't
Go
see.
to?
Yeah, goat legs. If you had goat legs,
Okay.
that would explain why you'd think she was out of your league regardless, because I wouldn't be able to see that. Regardless, okay. Uh, so, I mean, was your reasoning for feeling satisfied because you didn't think you'd be able to do that in some sense, or just because it was thrilling in the moment? or neither or both or something else?
I would say both.
Okay.
But maybe like the first one a little bit like more. Like I didn't thought that we would actually go out, and I'm still surprised that she's into me. So I would say the first.
Okay. Do you have what might be called uh, ego spank bank time, which is a time when you sit there and remember that time when you had that wonderful moment. For example, for me, one of my ego spank bank things is I used to, I don't really do it anymore, but I used to relive bits of the meeting I had with the Pomona city officials in which I was complaining very effectively about something. That's in my
Okay.
ego spank bank. But anyway, do you have things like that you like to revisit and replay in your head at all?
No, I
No.
wouldn't say so. No.
Okay. Do you have some sort of imagination about a possible reality that isn't yet but might be that you like to daydream about?
Yeah, I do that. I think so.
Okay. Do you ever buy any lottery tickets?
Yeah, actually, for the Christmas I bought some.
Okay. And when you buy a lottery ticket, do you imagine what you might do with the money if you win?
Yeah,
Okay.
I
What
think.
kind of things do you think you might do with the money if you win?
Well, that's the thing. I would definitely pay for a session with Eric. That's one thing, definitely. I would most of the money I would hold on my account because I really don't have much money right now. But I'm going to move to an apartment, so I would buy myself like proper furniture. So
Can you identify instances when you noted to yourself, gosh, I'm so useful right now?
that's a good question. Like I had like this feeling, like being happy about how useful I am. I don't know.
Are you cool with us going a little overtime?
Yeah,
Because,
sure.
okay, cool. Okay, have you heard me tell the potato touch story before?
No.
Okay, it's an example of me using my memory instead of my observation. Okay, and I want you
Okay.
to tell me a comparable story from your own life. I'll give you this example, my potato touch story, to show you what it sounds like. Okay,
Okay.
I used to go to this restaurant called Norms, and I'd sit at the counter. And when the food came out, the waiters would put it down on this counter near where I was sitting. And I
Yeah.
noticed that if somebody ordered a meal, then they come with a baked potato, and the waiters would use their fingers to touch the end of the potato to push it to make it open so they could put the butter inside of it, right? And I didn't like that. If I never ordered that usually, but I didn't like that potentially happening to my potato. So I told myself, if you ever order a meal, Eric, you better keep an eagle eye on that waiter. And if he touches your potato too much, you're going to complain about it. And
Okay.
okay, so that was my plan. So then, sure enough, I go back to the restaurant a week later or whatever. I order a meal this time, and I remember I'm going to keep an eye, and I do keep an eye. But I'm still surprised by a plate all of a sudden because when it arrived, I realized I had ordered rice pilaf instead of baked potato. So I spent this whole time watching out to make sure my potato didn't get touched after I had ordered and told the waiter, well, what do you want as your thing? You want potato or pilaf? I want rice pilaf, I said, but that didn't register somehow, and I continued to keep an eye out for potato touching. That's an example of me using my memory when I should have used my observations about the reality in front of me. Can you come up with a comparable example or the opposite?
I don't know. That's a very like specific like mental thing to like even notice like that I was using like my memory instead of my eyes. No, I don't know. I'm sorry. I would like to tell you any story, but I don't know.
Okay, can you tell me a story about a time when you took action communicatively and non-communicatively within the same 10-minute period?
What do you mean by taking action communicatively? Communicatively. What do you mean by that?
Well, you just took the action of getting this answer by questioning me.
Oh, that's true. Okay. And in another 10 minutes, I did the action on my keys fell on the ground, so I grabbed them. Is that the
Okay.
action?
Yeah. Okay, interesting. I've never
Oh,
asked that question before.
from 10 minutes ago.
I've never asked that question before, but it's a corollary of another question I would that you showed an inability to distinguish between the two things. So the NISI question that I asked there, the corollary for NESE is the question you just answered. So now, granted, it seems to me it seems to me very obvious both things. But hi, Dad. How you doing?
You busy?
Yeah, well, I'm with a client, but is it urgent? I can deal with it. No, but okay, he can't hear me. He's totally deaf, so it's like once he sticks his head in, and once he determines the outcome of the question he's looking for, then it's just there's no point in trying to say anything to him.
Is the NI user?
He's unipolar, and and he's deaf is the other thing. So,
Okay.
okay, so the thing is, let me ask you this way: can you give me an example of a time when you used the advice or help of others and figured out how to deal with something yourself within the same half an hour period?
Well, yeah, because I recently started in a new work, in a new job. So I all the time I ask my colleagues if they could help me with the system we are using, and they usually help me just to find something. And after that, they just like open like a whole new possibilities what I should learn. Yeah, so I learned by myself the other things. I just couldn't figure out where I should
What does
find it.
learning it by yourself mean? Or talk me through your process.
Like in this action I'm describing.
Yeah.
For example, like clicking through all the tabs that are there, and if I don't know what it is, I Google it. What is it about the tab, and try to like get the notion of what. Yeah.
Okay, can you tell me the difference between figuring something out, how to do something, versus researching how to do something?
Yeah, because when you research something, you are looking for like a manual or step-by-step thing, preferably. And when you figure something out, you, let's say, you take the object, you observe it, and figure out how it works, for example. So you don't use any like pre-existing.
Can you give me an example of you doing that thing you just said? That thing you just described?
Which one? The first one or
The second one. The second one.
That happened to me, or should I like made it up?
No, actually, you from your own life. Yes, please.
Yeah. On Christmas we got this riddle box, I would say, or I would call it, and you have to like figure out how you should open it. So you can look up the manual, but it's not that fun, right? So you figure out how it works, and yeah. But
did you figure out how it worked?
Yeah, it wasn't that difficult though.
How did you figure it out?
You know, just observe it, see like inconsistencies. But visually, it's a box, so it should open from one side, so you can like see the the two parts, right? If you know what I'm talking about. So you
Yeah,
know,
yeah.
like, okay, you should like do something with this side. So you just turn it around, you wobble it a little bit, and try to get the gist of it.
Okay, interesting. Very interesting.
But for example, I'm not really a technical guy, I would say. So I wouldn't definitely go to the car and try to figure out how car works or how engine works. I wouldn't even imagine that.
Can you think of an instance where you encountered some sort of stimulus and you relied upon a comparable stimulus from the past and experience from the past to guide you in the new one? I can give you an example if you want.
Yeah, could you please?
Okay, so uh, okay, I not that long ago, I my dad periodically goes through these blasts of I want Eric to barbecue something. So then I'll have these days where I'm barbecuing stuff for us to eat for dinner. And on a few occasions, I told them, you know, six, and I came in at say 6:08 or something because the meat took a little longer, and I got a couple of ah, this is not 6 o'clock, you know, like that kind of thing. And so last time when I made something and I realized right when I started it was going to take too long, I left a note for him that said, um, push it back to push it back a half hour, and then I ended up having to push it back another half hour. But at least I gave him a heads up so that, and that managed to successfully avoid the hey, you say yeah, you know. So that's an example of me being influenced in a recent situation. Where I said, no, don't make that same mistake again, Eric, that you've made multiple times now. It's time to
Yeah.
change that behavior so that you don't get yelled at.
Okay, I see. Let me think. Um, does it need to involve other people?
No, it just needs to involve you referencing a memory to make a decision of, or inform yourself about a current situation.
Okay. Maybe when I have this new job, I am always when I'm in the job, I always like, oh, not always, but usually I just think like, okay, be more, let's say, dutiful, just make everything properly and stuff like that. Because in my latest job, I was fired. I was an accountant and I didn't do like that a good job. So it's usually like in my memory and whenever I entered like the new job,
Did you fail
I
to do a good job because you didn't try hard, or because it was not a good job for you to try?
both. Oh no, wait, no, it was not good. No, I would say that I did not try enough. I could try harder, a little more, but just accounting wasn't for me. Like I
Okay.
had these because you are usually like checking like every single um not product but invoice, and sometimes I just had these blank like moments that I checked them all and I didn't like even know that I checked them. I just like do the thing. What do you call it? Like writing down like the like okay, I checked it,
Uh huh.
and then I realized like oh my god, I didn't even know that I like checked it. I was like I was like working on autopilot. That would be like good description. So yeah.
Okay. So, what would be the process you were supposed to do? Are you supposed to check it against something else?
Yeah, you have to check like if the numbers are correct, especially like the the price of the on the invoice.
So is it
So
like comparing numbers from one piece of paper against another piece of
yeah,
paper?
basically, yeah.
Okay. And do you have to keep track of which papers go with which papers?
Again, which
Like, do you have to keep track of which papers go with which papers? Like that kind of stuff?
well, not necessarily. Like at that time, what I'm describing, you have like let's say 100 invoices, like on the shelf, and then you have like a printout system report what you put in the system. So you have to check if you put everything correctly in the system. So you need to check like the pricing, the supplier, and stuff like that.
I
So it's
see.
mostly
And so there were plenty of occasions where you couldn't actually recall yourself doing the checking in
yeah,
any meaningful conscious sense, but you nevertheless had written the check mark.
yeah.
Do you
So it was
think
like
do you think that you actually did it but couldn't remember it, or do you think that you actually didn't do it because you weren't paying any attention, or
I
something else?
did it, but I couldn't remember that I did it. So I checked it again when I
Okay,
realized that I'm paying attention. That or not necessarily paying attention, but that I didn't remember that I checked it.
okay, cool. So yeah, all right. I feel pretty confident about your type,
Okay,
and I'm going to tell you right now.
I think
I think you're an INFJ.
INFJ.
I think you are. And there's a couple of things that make me a little iffy about it. Number one thing that makes me iffy about it
All
is
right.
your answer to just to even though it's technically consistent with what I say, but it still makes me feel a little iffy. Your answer to explaining the difference between figuring out something versus researching something. Your description of figuring out included observe the thing first, note inconsistencies. So the thing is, that is in fact a very TE approach from my mindset to observe it first. I've watched my friend Cameron try to solve these sort of problems, and I've watched him observe the thing first and turn around and look at it from all different angles, and recognized, oh, I don't do that. But I think that might be an NI Dom kind of observe first thing rather than a TE thing. And your ordinals weren't terrible, but they were. I mean, I don't have a clear line on polar for that. They certainly weren't. They certainly weren't suggestive of robust TE in any sense. So, and in fact, those questions seem to befuddle you a bit. You definitely answered and behaved in very effy tool ways, and the TI is consistent with third slot. The total sort of blank spot on SI thing is more consistent with eighth when you're talking about it conceptually than it is with seventh. So that would be consistent with you getting the concept of TE better than you getting the concept of SI. Even though you're much more competent at demonstrating SI as a subject than an ENFJ, you're probably less capable of identifying its conceptual role or something.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, yeah, what type do you think you were coming in?
Well, actually, I've been learning cognitive functions and MBTI and sociology for 2 years, and I was quite confident that I'm INTP actually. So, I mean,
Okay, you know what? I didn't really think about your TI test results very much. I need to think about that more. Because you did answer a bunch of them correctly, and you were quick, but you don't have the SI for an INTP. You just don't have the SI. Listen, here's the thing about INTPs, and I know English isn't your first language, but when it comes to these long genealogy problems, what INTPs and ENTPs, but to a lesser extent ENTPs, here is this pattern of sounds that then they can they can recreate. And so it's like I can give a long ass one to an INTP, and they can say it right back to me. Let's try a couple of these, okay? And you don't even have to answer it; just have to repeat the question. Who is my mother's father's wife's daughter-in-law's husband's son? Repeat the question to me.
Wife's daughter's son-in-law.
Daughter-in-law's husband's son. And who would that be, just out of curiosity?
I wasn't even paying attention.
Okay, so it's me. It's me. That's fine. Okay, now you ask me a long one of those. Okay, I'll try to repeat it back to you, and then you try to repeat it back to me.
All right. Who is my father's daughter and only daughter?
Who is my father's daughter's aunt's only daughter?
Yeah. Nice.
Now you repeat it back to me.
What is my father's daughter's and only daughter?
Okay. All right. Let's play How Boring Am I? Okay. I'm going to do something for about 2 minutes, 3 minutes maybe. And then afterwards, you're going to tell me on a scale of 1 to 10, how boring was I? 10 being most boring, 1 being least boring. And you're going to tell me why I was boring. Okay?
Okay.
Or not. So here's my story. Yesterday, I was going to order a pizza because I thought, hey, I'm hungry. I'm having trouble getting the barbecue started because this goddamn charcoal's so hard to light. And I'm hungry now. I don't want to wait to get new charcoal and then start a fire and then cook the meat and then eat. It's actually 2 days ago, not yesterday. But anyway, I am just going to order a pizza. So I went over to talk to my dad and say, hey, Dad, I'm going to order pizza. I'm not ordering. I'm going to go pick it up. We're going to order it for pickup. And I want to know, Father, would you like to eat some of this pizza that I get? I can get an extra large if so. And instead of answering that question, yes or no, he informed me that we were getting Panda Express, which is Chinese food, and pushed $40 into my hand. I said, okay, I guess I'm getting Panda. And then I went to the supermarket, and it was crowded at the supermarket. Very crowded. First, I had difficulty finding a parking space. Then, when I went inside, there was a long line of people at the Panda Express. And there was a guy behind me who wanted to chat with me. And I didn't really feel like chatting with him very much because he was saying kind of weird things not weird, but kind of weird. But he was a little bit of a, like, you can't do too many things about COVID kind of guy. I just didn't want to get into it or anything, so I was kind of trying to ignore him. Anyway, then I finally get to the line and I get the foods I get, but guess what? They don't quite have enough of the string bean chicken for my dad, so they have to supplement with a little bit of chicken from the mushroom chicken. And I paid for that, but at the same time, I had acquired from the beer section 2 6-packs of non-alcoholic beer. So I can't pay for that at the Panda Express. So then I have to get into another long line, and I wait in that line. Finally, I pay for my non-alcoholic beer, and then I would go home, but of course that's a long trip too with the traffic and the lights and everything. I'm done with my story. Now, on a scale of 1 to 10, how boring was I?
10 is the most boring, right?
10 is the most boring, yeah.
I would say 7.
Okay. Can you think of something? Can you identify any example of anything that's 8, 9, or 10 and boring that you've encountered?
What do you mean? What would have to happen if I would say it's 9 or 10?
Yeah, exactly. Like, can you think of, like, okay, Eric, that was boring, but my aunt Judy to one time told me a story about seeing a bug on a plant in her yard that was even more boring than that. Can you tell me
Yeah.
that sort of thing?
Yeah, I would say because what you described, it was like really too many unfortunate events in one day. So I guess it would be more boring if it would be less. For example, that you went to the Panda Express or Panda shop or
Panda
what do you call it?
Express. Panda
Panda
Express,
Express,
yeah.
and you get the food and then you get back. If that would have ended, it would be like 10 because it's like total normal day, right? So you,
Okay.
yeah, it's like unfortunate you got
So
an
it's
unfortunate event.
interesting. It's interesting you saw that as a basically the core of it as being unfortunateness, because what I was trying to do was bore you with details that weren't relevant to anything. So
Yeah.
I probably should have told it like, so I went to the Panda Express lady and I said, okay, I'm going to get 3 plates. Now, as you well know, each of these 3 plates includes 2 entrees and the chow mein and the rice or a combination. So let me break it down for you, lady, like this. I'm going to get 1 plate that's going to be all chow mein, all right? The other 2 are going to be half and half. Now, those 2 are going to be identical with everything. So you don't even got to worry about differentiating there, okay? This first one, we're talking about your chicken string bean and those honey walnut shrimps. Okay, those are the 2 entrees we want for that one. Now, for these other 2, both of them want orange chicken and broccoli beef. Yeah, that's gonna do it. That's it. And I went to the cash register, and she rung me up, and I gave her the $40 from my sweaty palm. And very, very slowly, she handed me my change.
Okay.
Is that more boring than the last story?
Yeah, there was too many details to be
Too
honest.
many
Yeah,
details. Okay.
yeah. Like to be honest, like I wasn't when you were describing the food, I was like paying attention, like so like describing the ingredients. I was like, okay.
You're thinking, try not to look too annoyedly bored.
What?
Were you thinking to yourself, I should try not to look too annoyedly bored?
Yeah, I
Okay.
did. I was like bored because I knew like there's a meaning behind what you're saying, right? But if you would be my friend and you tell me at the beer in the pub, I was like what the fuck are you talking about? I was like, why did you waste my time with this stupid thing?
Okay, so there's 2 possible types for you, ISTP and INFJ. I just don't think I've ever met an ISTP who seems as clearly FE frame, operational frame as you seem to be. When I talked to you about how you solve problems, you described researching, you didn't describe figuring anything out when I first asked you. When I first asked you the 5-step things, you weren't really keeping track of the steps because he doesn't really care if it's 5 or 6 steps because why would he? And you could argue that's ignoring TE. I agree your TI is quite strong, and that's why I'm playing with the idea of ISTP. Because if you are an ISTP, well, I was toying with the possibility of any polar for a while, and I kind of set it aside as a question, and I didn't really ever resolve it. But I mean, the FV tool seems pretty well established to me. But okay, how do you feel emotionally right now?
Um, I would say like not confused. No, that's like like for 2 years I was thinking something, and now like let's say like expert in the field tells you another thing. So it's like, oh my god, is it like real? So I'm just like contemplating like my whole life,
Well,
my
okay.
2 years.
Let me ask you this: did you come to the conclusion that you were TI Dom in part because you were able to do well on TI questions in sessions that you watched or heard from me, or did you come to that conclusion before you encountered me and just sort of didn't deal with any possible conflict there, or talk to me through that?
I always used to think that I'm a high TI user because everything I like meet, everyone I meet, I just start analyzing what he's saying, like, or just trying to analyze like what's the meaning, or why did you do that? And well, from what I've heard and from what I learned, I think it should be like at least referring to the I, right? Trying maybe.
Well,
Like my question, I always like my main question is why? Why do you do this? Like why? What was the reason? Why did you do that? Why are you laughing? Why are you not paying attention more? Why are you not caring? So
okay.
yeah, this is what
So,
I thought.
what are some of the answers to those questions?
No, it's like somebody do something, right? So I ask him, why did you do this? I just want to know the reason. Like, okay, so why did you do this? And he tells me, I'm like, okay, so you don't realize there's like a negative consequence to that, or for example, or a positive consequence, doesn't matter. But um,
Can you give an example of asking somebody why they did something?
I usually say, why do you think that? Okay, I'll give you an example.
Why do you think that? Okay, that's different than why do you do that?
Well, yeah. This, uh, I'll give you some. I don't know. Oh my god. Uh,
I make rather a lot of out there claims. Surely you disagree with me about something.
I remembered one. My brother just bought himself a new TV, and he had like one before, and it was great, like the huge plasma TV. And so I was like, "Why did you do that? Like,
Okay.
why? Like, why did you spend so much money on something you don't like? You have a little bit of more of usefulness of it, or something like in that notion. Like, why?"
I mean, that sounds to me like you're trying to understand how a person's motivations link to their actions. It doesn't seem
Yeah.
to me that you're trying to understand how how a person's justifications are consistent with each other, themselves, or other things. So, I mean, that sounds more like what you're talking about is an NI matter, an NIFE matter. So, one reason why you might mistake yourself for a TI Dom or have an issue with this conflict here is because they're both epistemology functions and they're both objective epistemology functions. NI is the objective way to know. Now, because it's a way of knowing, it's not reducible. Otherwise, you'd have to decide and or figure it out. So, it is not reducible, but it's still objective in the sense that it's what you know about a thing, not shaded by your particular experience or perspective. So, people have varying degrees of influenceability in terms of their perspective and its relationship with reality. We can all think of, or not all, not we all, but you and I can both think of, I'm sure, an example of a person who is behaving in some way that is indicative of of this. I'm about to recapture my train of thought. It's kind of got scattered here, but I'm going to get it back in a second. We can think of an example of somebody who is an NI Dom and a TI Dom approaching the same question from a different angle. So, like, a NI Dom, if asked which of these two songs is better and why, will listen to them and have an answer of sorts. They may or may not want to express it because NIFE understands that when you tell people that something like a song is either good or bad, you are subject to them saying that's just your opinion and other stuff like that, right? So, but you'll still have an answer to the question. A TI Dom will, depending on which kind, but if you were, say, an INTP, you would probably critique the notion that good and bad exist aesthetically, except as arbitrary and subjective things, and or as successful or unsuccessful failures at being new. So, in that regard, it's a distaste for things that need to be known. If you're a TI Dom, I don't like to know things. I want things to always be reducible. That why that song is good is not reducible, but it's answerable. But it's answerable with knowing answers, not parsing answers. So what I'm saying is, from what I can tell, you're a knower and an FE user, and not a parser and a NE or SE user. Now, you do seem to be an SE front stack person, which is consistent with an NI DOM, and that means you're much more likely to be an ISTP than an INTP, and I can confidently narrow you down to ISTP or INFJ, but I'll repeat my earlier point, which is I don't think you have ISTP style FE, which is notoriously, consistently piss poor. I like you're very likable. You're very appealing. You know.
It's a lot of things to think about, right? But I cannot see myself as a SE user. I just cannot, and that's the one of the biggest reasons why I thought that I'm an INTP.
Okay.
Like, for example, SE, as I understand it, is like getting the sensible data out of your surroundings, right? Always noticing it.
No, I mean, an NI DOM has a very tilted relationship. In other words, they spend much more time intuiting about stuff they observe than they do observing stuff about which they intuit. They're not SE DOMs, in which case it would be the other way around, right? So, it's not the case that an SE fourth slot person is going to identify as what SE is described as, which is it's described as though it were in the dominant slot, but it doesn't express that way at all in the fourth slot. So, the other thing is, when I asked you to talk about what moment of satisfaction or something, now, that was just one. I don't want to overweight one answer to that question. Can you give me another example of something that gives you satisfaction?
I mean, baby triumph, like we were talking about.
Or just that, just a sense of like, wow, this is how it, yes, everything is as it should be right now.
Okay, so when I get the call that they hire me, for example, that was a really good time.
Okay.
When I pass nearly all of my exams this semester so
Okay.
far, like, I still have to one redo, but it's okay. It's Spanish. It's difficult. I was quite happy. Yes, 2 days ago when it was the New Year's Eve, I had a great conversation with this American girl who's here because I really watch American politics, and suddenly you have someone to talk about it. Thankfully, so yeah, we were talking about it.
Do you remember any key takeaways from the conversation that you found interesting and informative of your general worldview or something?
I would say that we managed to actually agree on a lot of points. I know that's not necessarily the answer to the question, but it's what popped in my mind.
Okay.
I wouldn't say learn something new necessarily, no, but we had a great conversation about it.
Okay. So the thing is, the satisfaction question is an interesting one because it's interpreted so differently by different people. If you were an SI front stack person, somewhere, especially if you were third slot, somewhere which you'd have to be INTP, somewhere in that mix of things of satisfaction, you would say, I'd say it gives me satisfaction. Let me take that first sip of that hot coffee.
Yeah. Get that.
Now that's satisfaction. There's no, I didn't get any of that from you. You talked about SE things, acting, taking the girl out, acting on, or action slash interface on a external metaphysical plane, talking with that girl at the party or whatever. You talked about receiving something you know, which is that you got the job. You talked about I don't remember what else. What I would expect to hear, what I would expect to hear from you if you were an INFJ that I didn't hear, is, but I probably wouldn't hear this. I don't know. The answer I would predict, but haven't actually heard in actual instances, is that you would feel satisfaction when you are the correct one and can win the argument, and or when you know you're being treated very fairly and that whoever you're dealing with will never be unfair to you. So that would be the predicted most conscious absolute value in the third slot it sort of displays brightly if it were expressed directly and openly by an INFJ in my prediction.
Okay, all right. Yeah. Aren't INFJs like when they have the SE? By the way, we are way past of the time. So if you want to end it, but we definitely can. I just don't.
I actually don't want it until I feel like there's got resolution, a little bit more resolution. I will have to end at some point to go talk to my dad, but I want a little bit more resolution. And the other thing is it's like some people take longer, and also I'm not feeling like bugged by it, right? Such people are most likely to be INFJs because there's a natural camaraderie between the two types that makes it very easy for me to talk to them and talk with them and feel both heard, understood, given the right amount of EQs, and constrained by their intuition into being more deft than I might otherwise be. So ask your question, or whatever you're going to say.
Okay, right. I'll take you outside. Okay.
You're going to take me outside, but what about my allergies?
Okay, okay. Okay, I'm back. So, what do you mean ask me a question about? What do you want me to ask you about?
You were just saying, you were going to say something before I interrupted you and made you lose your train of thought, which you probably don't recall.
No, wait, we were talking about the TI thing. I don't know. What we were talking about? Because I don't remember.
Okay, well, look, the thing is, you spend a lot of time thinking you're TI Dom. I want to make sure that I've adequately eliminated the possibility. I don't think you're ISTP.
I remember.
Okay.
You said it's easier to me. It's easier for you to talk to me because I'm an INFJ and you are ENTP, right?
I mean, it's an observation. It's not necessarily a reason to type you, but yeah.
I get that. But what if I was INTP? Would it be also like easier to talk to me because we would be similar?
Our conversations would be very different. It'd be very different. Yeah. Like the day an INTP asks permission to play devil's advocate is the day an INTP thinks there is any kind of. It thinks there are variations between advocacies. INTPs don't really believe in the concept of devil's advocacy because they kind of see all arguments as inherently subject to that kind of critique in a right and just and true world. And certainly they'd expect me to expect them to challenge it. The other thing is, he didn't seem to have the extroverted intuition that I would expect for a second slot. I mean, how many look, what you did with the naming of the thing, right? You gave me one great name, and then you displayed obvious distaste at producing other lesser names, even though the test was supposed to test quantity, not quality.
Okay. And isn't it because of the lack of maybe English vocabulary?
I mean, it's possible, but the thing
Because, for
is,
example, if I could give you an example, I was at this one economical experiment, and this was just about brainstorming, and it was just about some what could you do with the knife? And I figured like about 30 things, and it was just weird stuff sometimes, like use it as a bookmark or something like that. And I've like figured like so many things. So I was like, okay, that's any like in practice in that time.
yeah, it is. You're right. I mean, we expect to see what people usually call strong in the fifth, but the thing is, I wouldn't necessarily expect to see especially strong subject in a fifth of an INFJ, which is kind of what you're describing. But okay, then
Okay,
let me try something with you. Let's try
okay,
an improvisational scene. Okay,
all right.
we are at a coffee shop, and I am talking. I have invited you to coffee because I want your advice about my marriage. Okay, so I'm gonna start. I'm gonna start, and you're gonna rip off each other. Okay. So, Jiri, listen, I've been meaning to talk to you about this for a while, but you know how things between me and Heather aren't going great lately. Well, let
Yeah,
me let me tell you a little bit more of the juicy details so you get the backstory here. So it turns out I caught Heather the other day talking to a gentleman that she claims was a customer support person. But and she gave me a pretty convincing explanation as to why the customer support person was needed to see pictures of her vagina to fix her problem. I mean, it sounds plausible, but I still have my doubts. I think possibly she may be engaged in extramarital frivolities of an unacceptable sort. What should I do?
I have to apologize, man. Someone interrupted me, and I was and I didn't hear like the first half of it.
That's
So I'm
totally
sorry.
fine. Listen, it's a noisy coffee shop. I get that. It's easy to be distracted
Yeah,
in here with these people all coming around with their newspapers and coffees and stuff. It's easy to get distracted. Now,
yeah. But I
let
would
me just
recommend like
highlight the main details here so I can get your advice on this. So, my wife on the phone with a guy,
yeah,
supposedly a customer service guy, helping her get back into her Instagram account.
yeah.
Now, according to her, this customer service guy needed a picture of her vagina to match the pictures of her vagina on her account to make sure it's really her. But when I pressed her on the matter, she admitted that she didn't have any pictures of her vagina on the Instagram account. Now, she's claiming she got fooled. But I'm thinking maybe I'm the one getting fooled here.
Yeah, you definitely are, man.
You think
This is
so?
normal practice. Yeah, this is normal practice in on Instagram profile, definitely. No, it is definitely not, right?
So
You have to think about
you don't think this is really an Instagram employee? Do you think maybe it's a lover of some sort?
it. Well, preferably, yeah, most definitely.
I mean,
That,
is it possible? Was it a genuine request from Instagram and they needed that as a second
no.
verification of identity? Not possible at all.
Okay, so do you want my advice, man?
Yeah, I want your
You know
advice.
what? I recommend you check the number. If you can find on the internet like the same number as in customer support or something like that, but well, I doubt that. I think you will not find anything.
Well, she's
I
got her
think it's
phone really locked down. I cannot look at that thing to save my life. I mean, I don't know. She's got like 3 levels of encryption on it or something. So, I'm still. I mean, I guess the jury's still out. It could be legit, but
what? Wait. I have a question. So Heather told you that she did all the things?
no. I walked in
Oh,
as
you walked in, or
and the guy was on the phone. He was on speaker, and I noticed she was taking a picture of her vagina. And when I said, "What are you doing?" she said, "Oh, this is customer support. They need it to prove my identity."
Jesus Christ. I would, well, man, I would talk to her, definitely. Like, you have to figure this out.
Don't you think I should
This
trust
is
her
not a
though?
normal
Shouldn't I
practice.
trust her? I mean,
Oh,
it's no, I shouldn't
no,
trust her, huh?
I wouldn't trust her. I think you should not either trust her. That's a
Okay.
weird practice on Instagram. I've been blocked from Instagram for, I got no voice reason, but that's not normal.
Okay. Do you want to switch the roles and be the lead person now? Because what you just did there was very consistent with with strong, responsive fifth slot NE. Rachel can do that with me indefinitely as well. Okay, but I'm leading the whole time. So now you lead, and I'll be the straight man.
Okay, so I need advice from you.
Yeah, you can change the setting if you want. If you want to change the scene, we could be you're considering purchasing some sort of large animal as a pet, and you want my advice about that. We're meeting instead of at the coffee shop. Now we're at the park near the fountain.
Can I make up mine? Let's say I live in a dorm, right? You know that I told you that.
Mhm.
So, and I want to purchase a dog because I feel really lonely sometimes. So I just want to pet him. Do you think it's a good idea, even though I live in a dorm?
Dog's a lot of responsibility.
It definitely is though, but I will love him. I will take care of him.
Does your dorm prohibit people from having dogs?
Actually, they do, but I really want a dog.
Okay, but are you convinced you'll be able to continue to hide it successfully so that it doesn't get ejected?
From what I've heard, there actually was one student who had a dog, and he actually managed to hide a dog from the receptionist. So I think I could do that as well, but I'm not sure because my room is really close to the receptionist. I know it's a good idea.
Well, what uses can you think of for the dog besides having it?
Well, I can, walk with him to actually get some fresh air because I don't get any, like I would say, mostly because I was writing the thesis. But I can also, yeah, we can walk. I can pet him. I can love him. He can love me. You can go for a play. I can throw him a ball or something. Oh, yeah, it's a love thing. I would love, and I
Okay,
want to love him.
so here's the thing.
All right.
There was an unavoidable and and pressing natural tendency for us both to go back like this because what you're doing wasn't so much extrovertedly intuiting as like ni NIFing, right? So in other words, your thing that you were telling me
Mm-hmm.
was very reasonable and believable and made sense as an example of the thing we were doing, and your the way you the character you played could be a real person, okay?
Yeah, it could be. Yeah.
The character I played could not possibly be a real
That's
person because I have this absolute value of making things more different, right? INTPs don't have that as an absolute value, but they have it as an operational value, which means they do it automatically, and that's what it means to counter value NI, is to never want sort of the simple, good, best, most fit thing, because that means they can't ideate about it because it's holistic and irreducible, and it's also final. It's saying we don't need any more new ideas about this or critique about this. It's been determined, and this is the
yeah.
thing. They don't like that at all. You seem to be seeking it here and also be displaying it in just about everything you do.
Mm-hmm.
So it's not impossible. It could be third slot, but it's definitely one or three.
Yeah, it could be. I yeah, definitely can be.
Okay.
Yeah.
Any last questions, thoughts, complaints, queries,
No, I mean,
concerns?
like, no, like definitely no. It was great. Like with 2 hours, 2 hours of session. So
Okay,
thank you for.
I will share it privately with you via the email address that I have in Calendar. And if you decide you'd like to publish, you can shoot me an email, let me know, and I'll publish it.
I think yeah, I don't need to do that. I think you can publish it. I think it was great.
All right, fantastic. Thank you. I appreciate it.
Yeah,
All
no
right,
problem.
all right, cool. Have a good one.
Yeah, you too. Bye.